Using an axe and a saw, we'll work through this knotty branch in real time, demonstrating axe work skills to produce blanks and billets ready for spoon carving. Working around knots is just a fact of life. Not every piece of wood is perfect. So here are a few skills you can use to work with them and still get usable spoon carving timber.
So I've got everything nice to hand. Got my axe on that side, saw on this side, first aid kit there, bopper, plenty of wood. So let's go. Right. When you're battening, always have the axe 90 degrees to yourself, so as it comes out of the wood, it's going to go away from you or into the block ideally, not towards you and into your leg. And as you see, I got that knot right at the front. I'm going to put this on just the heart of the wood, 90 degrees to that heart, to the centre of the knot going outwards, so it should split nicely. See what happens. Oh yes, nice split. So that'll be one spoon, because it's got a nice curve going that way. This will be the bowl, and it will be a, what'll that be? That'll be a tangential cut with the bark up. So when you look at it, this will be the bottom, this will be the top, so the bark will be up on the top of the spoon. So it's called a bark up spoon. So I'll axe into that, put a bit of slope going down into the bowl, and then come back that way, tidy it up on both ends, and then start shaping it. So that's one. Now then, this one, yeah, the idea was to use this bit from there to there, and then this will be firewood. So yeah, I don't know. That's nice and hard in there. So I think I'm not sure how to approach this one yet. I think I'll come in half an inch to about there and try splitting it and see if that split runs down and goes up this branch. That's what I'm hoping for. So make sure it's nicely lined up. Get the bopper. So that didn't work, but we're on the way. So I think if I tidy that back up a bit, and then try from this side. I'm going to move around a bit. Nah, that's not going to work, is it? Right, so I'm just going to have to saw it off across there and then chop the back of it out. So we're right in the heart of it there, so we've got to get through that. There we go, we're nearly through it now. So we've got quite a bend on it. Don't know if it's really worth the effort, but there. We've got a usable bit of crank to it now. Just take the back off a bit there. Nice bit of colour in it, if I can retain some of that. Yeah, not sure about it at the moment, but we'll come back to that one. This one has got some splits on the end, so I need to come in an inch or two to about there, cut it off about there, and then we'll have a usable piece of wood. Yeah, no splits, so that one's good to go. Right, I think we'll do the same with this one. We'll cut it about there, but I'm not going to bother with that one there. I'm just going to use the back of this piece and then the front of this piece, because this one's got a knot at the back as well. So I'll get two pieces out of that because it's too knotty. So I'll cut that, split them two bits, and then I'll come back to you. I've got these two left with the knots in, and what I'm thinking is that there's still quite a bit of wood here. If I could split it in half again radially, so this would be a radial cut, and then use half for one smaller spoon there and this half for another smaller spoon, and where it goes round this knot, as it comes to this knot, it's either going to split that way or that way, but I'm going to have to axe out the other half anyway. So what it amounts to is that the split's going to come down and then the grain is going to come out round the knot and back in again. So somewhere there is a nice bit of spoon crank with the grain following the shape. So I'm going to try splitting both of these down, trying to go straight through the knot, but that won't happen. But you know, that's the idea. Again, 90 degrees to myself and right through the heart of the wood. And what that's given me, like I said, it had to go one side of the knot or the other. So I'll axe that part out, and I've got one sort of spoon there and the other one here. It's just got a slight kink there, you see it, where it went round the knot, so the knot would have been here. So the wood's gone out round the knot and back up again. So that's how you would make the maximum use of bits with knots in. I'll try splitting this off actually. See what happens. Cool. Straight into the middle of the knot. Who'd have thought that? Well, I'll come back to that one. I may even cut it off there somewhere. Yeah, that's hard work. So you're starting to go there now. Hey. So I'm not necessarily going to use it all, but it gives me, if you can see there, you can see the grains going there, and then it comes up where it's kinked around the knot. So you're making use of the knots to give yourself some spoon crank. Try and do the same with this one. So again, split to one side, and that does kind of give me a little bit of crank, or if you're looking at it that way with the bar cap, a little bit of crank. So I split it radially, but by the time that if I have the spoon parallel to the bark, then it'll actually be a tangential cut. I've got a knot at the end here as well, so I'll be cutting that off there. Probably cutting it off there somewhere, maybe having the handle here and the bowl there. So I just about get a bit of wood out of it. Is it worth it? I don't know, maybe not, but I'm just trying to show you how I would go about it. And this one, probably even less. It's a big old branch there, so yeah, probably something there to there. I'll probably only use it up to there, so I expect I'll end up cutting that one off. So what we're looking for, if you're out in the woods and you want to carry some spoons home, is you rough shape them like this. You can see I've kind of followed the grain, because this one went round a knot that was sticking out here. So the grain's gone round a knot, and I've shaped the handle a little bit. And what I've tried to do is keep this and this in winding. So it's not twisted, so it's not one's going that way and one's going that way. They're both level. So you can see that by just looking down it roughly, you know. So then you can put a centre line down there, put your template on, draw it out, or just rough draw it on there, whatever, but you've got an idea of where the grain goes. And this one, unfortunately, the grain goes a little bit off to the left. So yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but I'll see what I can do with it. Now the other way of going about it is the same kind of thing. You get your log into winding by taking the outside off. You take the inside off where the heartwood was, and you take the sharp edges off the sides, and you end up with a sort of a squarish block. Sort of. I use the word very loosely. And this would be called a billet. And then you would take that home. That will dry nicely because all the wood's exposed, and there's a nice bit of colour in there as well, you can see from the spalting. So that would be a blank, that would be a billet. It would be more of a blank if I had the shape on there and I'd axed it out to the shape, then that would be the perfect blank. But it is kind of a blank. It's halfway between a billet and a blank, I suppose. So that's the kind of thing that I'm up to today. Now, I've not really been happy with the colour. It's been lead on the ground for a while, but the old fungus hasn't really got into it. This one, I had it split in half and lead on the ground under some leaves. So the ends haven't split, but you can see the fungus has really got in there on both ends. And that's really worked its way through. And bring it up close. You can see there's reds, dark browns, yellows, golden colours, dark bits. This looks very promising. No knots in it. And it's got a bit of a whoosh. So this is going to be my bowl and that'll be the handle. So let's see what I can do with that one. And because the spaltings come from the underneath, from the middle, up from where it's been lead on the ground, which is kind of unusual really, but you know, I did it intentionally. What I need to do is, the spalting's going to be the most colourful near this middle split, and it's going to fade away as it comes up to the top. At least that's what I think. But I'm going to axe into here and see what we got. And this will be my crank. So I need to create some flats as well, so as I can lay it onto the chopping block. Like that. Now I got two flats, and I can hold it onto the chopping block and keep it more stable, because I want to actually do that and it's either going to swing and miss my legs, or it's going to stick into the block. So I'm always thinking about where that axe is going to go. Because now I know, because I'm keeping the handle down low, that it's always going to stick into the block. So there we go. See the colours there. Now I think they're going to get darker as I go deeper, so I'm going to go a bit deeper. I'm going to take this handle off a bit first, so take a bit of height off of there. Now what I'm always looking at is trying to keep this all parallel, all running in line, so it's not got any twist in it. In a carpentry term, that's called winding. It's the old-fashioned way of doing joinery when you did it with all hand tools. So I'm just setting the crank in a bit deeper. Oh, split off there. So we'll come in the other way. You've got to get used to doing it both ways, really. Yeah, I've got a bit of a knot going on there. I think I need to work everything back a little bit. So I'm doing this rather than trying to take all the wood off at once. I'm hitting an angle off, and then taking the middle out. So there I go, taking the middle out. Yeah, that's better. Now I've got to take some of this out because this is very heavy on the handle, so I need to thin this back, working up this way, and I'll do that by taking the angle off, hitting the middle out, and then I'll start thinning down the handle on the actual plan view. Again, I'm keeping the handle low so it's always going to stick in the block. And if it doesn't, I've got one foot much farther forward than the other one, so the axe can always come and pass by the side of me if it does miss the block. But you can see that my handle's always very low. This also imparts a slicing action as well because I'm hitting it off, so it's actually slicing the wood a little bit. You can see I've got a, so now it's easier because I've got less material. I've got a point almost, so I can hit that point off now. Yeah, see, I've done the same that side, so I can hit that point off, and it just makes it easier chopping all the time. Just taking the angles off. I'll cut this knot out. And I've got a very spoony shape already. I can start cleaning this back up a bit. So I've got a big hump there. So I'm very close to my finger here, so I'm choked right up on the axe, and I'm taking only little swings. I'm not really lifting it above my thumb. So in theory, I shouldn't be able to hit it. Again, I'm keeping the handle really low so as it slices through the wood, and if I miss, it goes into the block. You can see I've still got a lot of weight in this part here, so I'm going to take that out. I think I better draw something on there. If I know I'm going to be doing a few spoons, I usually bring some templates along and a flexible ruler. And what I like to do is, you see these rings, because I've done it bark side up. It's a tangential cut bark side up, so there's rings getting bigger and bigger. So I can kind of judge where the center of those rings are. And this one looks like it's over that way a bit. And because the ruler's flexible, I can get it on there. Now people say they like drawing freehand because they can work with the wood, but if you've already axed out your rough shape, then you can see what you've got, and you are working with the wood even if you use a template. You just pick the right template to suit the piece of wood that you've got, and the more experience you get, the more you know what shape to make it before you start, and you get more templates, and it just evolves really. So I mean, this one's crying out for something like that, isn't it? So I've axed it down to the line there, and to the thick part of the handle there. Now I've put a saw cut in, and what you need to do really is, the thinner you make it in plan form, the thicker you need to make it in the side view. Yeah, so you've got that meat there, and especially with spalted wood, I've learnt that over the years, that spalted wood's a lot softer. So I've snapped an awful lot of spoons just on this thin piece here. So take your time, be careful. So what I like to do is take the angle off the front, the angle off the back, and then work down the middle, and if needs be, do it again. So use the wedge of the axe for this piece, because if you go on through into this piece, into the spoon bowl, then you'll split it. Even if it's a micro split, as it dries, it will split off. So be very careful. Ideally, you want your axe to come through and come out of the wood and miss the bowl altogether. Take your time, small gentle strokes, and as you get down closer to it, try to use the wedge of the axe to do the work. Yeah, pretty much like that. So you see I'm attacking it from all angles. Try to keep that piece in the middle intact, and keep a bit of thickness on there as well. It's easier to take it off with a knife or a draw knife. Right, now what I like to do is take some of these shoulders off, because I'm going to be axing it round to this line anyway, so I can go quite thin here. But again, gentle cuts, otherwise we'll snap it across here. Try and get some support going as well if you can. You see, I'm doing the same again. I'm taking the angle off the top, the angle off the bottom, and then a bit off the middle. Gives you a lot more control. The same on the other side. Just take your time working down to it, and you see I've got a point there, so I can, from my final cuts, I've still got a bit of meat left there. I can just finish that off with a knife. Just going to take a little tiny piece out of the handle because it's pretty thick still. I think that'll do. That's what you would call a spoon blank. And I'm just sort of doing that with the other ones as well, really. I'll lay them all out when I finished for you. The axe gave me blisters because I'm not used to it. Obviously it's got a different grip to it. So yeah, it's typical. So I think that's the end of my axe carving for today. This is as far as I got. So knocked out a few blanks and a few billets. Like the shape of this one. Maybe still a bit chunky, but I'll work on it at home. Yeah, so did 2 of those. And I think that one was going to be another one of those. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, I've done another axe carving video. I'll put a link to that up there. Thanks for watching.